Our August 2025 monthly school board meeting of Florence County School District 3 Board of Trustees is now called to order. In accordance with the South Carolina Code of Laws 1976, Section 30-4-809D as amended, the following have been notified of the time, date, place, and agenda of this meeting. Morning News, Lake City Shopper, WBTW, WPDE, and WMBF. This agenda is also posted on the Florence County School District 3 website. Madam Secretary.
All board members are present.
Thank you for that. At this time, please ensure that all cell phones and electronic devices are on silent. Our interim superintendent, Ms. Casey Fagan, will come before our moment of silence and pledge of allegiance. Please stand.
Good evening. Please remember all Florence 3 students and staff in a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Board, at this time, I'll entertain a motion regarding the agenda.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Rebecca Yates and a second by Ms. Maddie Thomas. Is there any discussion? None being noted, all in favor to approve the agenda say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Board, I'll now entertain a motion regarding the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the consent agenda. Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Ruther Fryson and a second by Ms. Paula Morris. Is there any discussion? None being noted, all in favor to approve the consent agenda say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. There was no one that signed up for public participation. At this time, we are down to the board chair report and reports from other board members. Does anyone have anything specific that they'd like to share? I know that we're at the beginning of the school year, and some of us have had the opportunity to visit schools. And so if there's anyone that has anything specific they'd like to share, please identify yourself at this time.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to share the meeting that I attended on July the 22nd with Mr. Jamie Daniels, who is educational foundational leader. He had invited Mr. Dwayne Gaston from the State Department of Education. He's the director of the Office of Student and Community Engagement, and also Ms. Carla Renfro, who is the Office of Student and Community Engagement. They're at also at the same office. And the reason why we had this meeting, but first let me clarify, I'm not on the Educational Foundation Committee because I can't do that because I'm a board member. But the Lake City Prayer Circle supports that, Jamie, and we do a lot with him with what he's doing. And the reason why Jamie had this meeting with the ministers, some ministers in this area, is to see how the church can get community involved with our children education, with the families in this community. And so, Mr. Gaston, as he came, that's what he talked about, and he was just so overwhelmed about what Jamie is doing, trying to get the church involved, where the churches can take leadership, where they can take leadership to help, to partnership with the schools to help our children in this district. We're gonna have another meeting on the 26th at the continuing at 7:30. If anybody wants to come, you're invited to see what Jamie is doing in his leadership to help our children. And you are familiar with the tutoring program that Jamie started at Lake City Early Childhood, where we have a staff to tutor our children there to make sure that they are reading before they go to the 3rd grade. And also had a chance to visit the high school, did a walkthrough at the high school, different areas at the high school. And I want to ask about the swimming pool that we have over at the Cape building where the traffic coming at, all that water that is there, is there anything that we can do for drainage there? Where we come into the Cape building, all that water's there, and anything we can do? Cause that's a health hazard there with mosquitoes and everything.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Carter, we had looked at getting the price on putting concrete in there, cutting that drain out, or cutting that area out, putting concrete in with the drain. I haven't got quotes back on it yet. And I really don't have an estimate for your price, but we have been looking at that, and I'm waiting on trying to get the quotes back, get people out to look at it. Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Ball, we've had a bit of a time trying to get in contractors that actually want to do that small job. That's kind of hold up.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, I attended the opening ceremony on July 22nd. It was great, and all speakers were great, but I'd just like to applaud the keynote speaker, Mr. Aiden Wright, who's a recent graduate. You know, he's a forerunner for all of the others, so just want to say kudos to him.
Anyone else? All right, Mr. Chair, it's first day of school, I visited the car ride line at J.C. Lynch. Second day, found out there was a problem with the traffic coming in. I made a call to enter Superintendent Ms. Fagan and Principal Devine, and they took care of the problem. And the next day, all I saw was police lights out here. Traffic was flowing really good, and I'm thankful for that. I also had a chance to tour the high school, the track, and also the field house. If the board hasn't had a chance to look at that, I think we need to. The way that works, and from what I hear, the kids don't complain about the facilities. They come in, they work hard, they do what they're supposed to do, and they go home. I think it's time for us to make sure that whatever improvements, whatever we can do to that field house, to that track, we need to see what we can do for our kids. Anyone else? None being noted, are everyone who has registered to attend the conference in Charleston beginning tomorrow? We will see you there. There are some upcoming meetings, I think it's Beyond the Basics and some other things that you will need to look at on your calendar to see if you are available or interested in going to those. Just let Ms. Akuma know if you're interested in going, as well as the board secretary, Ms. Yates. This time we are down to the interim superintendent's report. Ms. Casey Fagan.
Thank you. At this time, we'll have Ms. Hope Gibson from Finance to do an update.
Good evening to everyone. I would like to present to you Florence County School District 3, August 2025 board meeting finance updates. This is our mission statement, ensuring our students are college or career ready and are productive, responsible members of society. This slide is our goals for 2025-2026. Number 1, to improve the academic success of all students. Number 2, to ensure the safety of all district schools, officers, students, and staff. Number 3, to increase the number of students reading on grade level in grades K through 3. 4, to recruit, retain, and train excellent instructional and administrative staff. Number 5, to build effective school, community, and business relationships, partnerships. And number 6, to ensure financial stability. This is the general fund by object as of July 31st, 2025. It is also linked on the board agenda and posted on the Florence County School District 3 website. The balance of the approved general fund budget for 2025-2026 is $35,646,811. This slide is our general fund by object code for the month of July 31st, at the end of the month of July 31st, 2025. Before I finish my presentation tonight, this evening, I would like to address the July general fund revenue by account report that is attached to this presentation. We would need to remove the one that's there and put in a new one of correction. Please keep in mind that we are still in the process of closing the books for the FY 2024-2025 and opening the books for the FY 2025-2026. We would need to replace this current revenue report that was due to the board last week and posted on Florence County School District 3 website. How this was noticed, I have to upload a report to South Carolina Department of Ed monthly concerning our fund balance. I normally check to make sure that the revenue and expense reports that are the same that's on our Florence County School District 3 website. Today, this is when this information was discovered. I noticed that the revenue, when I ran my report today, was different by a great amount. So I knew something was wrong. And I did not want to change the report after you have had it for a whole week without notifying the board of the change and the reason why the change has to be done. So at this time, I would like to give you these reports as I go over it so that you have a clear understanding of why we have to change it. I have one for every board member. And please just take one and pass it down. Thank you so much. On the very first sheet, you will see the report I highlighted in orange is July 1st, 2025 to July 31st, 2025. What you see highlighted in yellow as you go down the current revenue column, this is going to be the change as we go through. So what you see is the year-to-date revenue, and down to the bottom that's in orange, you see $4,171,500.09. As you can see to the bottom, I have a ticket for you so that I can show you how I calculated and make sure that it is correct. As you go to the next sheet, the second sheet for me, this is our Florence County Treasurer. This is the tax collections that we receive monthly. Where you see tier 3, that's sales tax that we receive. As you go to the next page, you see highlighted in yellow to the top, it says June 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2025. This is our payment of $2,561,313.44, which you saw on the first page there, the second page. So as you see on the top, it has June. So we always receive our payments after the month has ended. So we get July payments in June payments in July. Okay, so this was recorded in July. If you go to the last page, what you see in orange, it says July 1st through July 31st, and you see to the bottom, $1,709,834.53. Well, this money was put in July. We have to manually go back and put it in the prior year, which is 24-25, because those revenues have to be reflected in the prior year monies. So when this first report was ran, which I circled on the bottom, on August 13, 2025, we had not done that manual transfer. So the last page is the true amount of revenue that we have received for the month of January. So what I had highlighted on the first one, July, sorry. So what I had highlighted on the first one in yellow is what was taken away and what was changed. If you look at the last page as well, where you see I have check marks down that current revenue column, those are things that were added in. So if you look at the ticket, you see what came out and what added in, and it matches. So that's why we have to change that, because we don't want the public to think that we received $4 million in July. It's inflated because it belongs to June's books. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Any questions?
Thank you.
All right, we'll have that change done and updated tomorrow. Thank you.
At this time, we'll have our human resource update from Ms. Angela Scott.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Our personnel report for the month of August. You received, last week, our report of certified vacancies that we have. We actually can take off the 2 elementaries at this point, as well as the social studies. We are still working to fill, of course, the special ed classroom and the health science teacher. Now, we do have coverage for all of our music and PE classes. We also need a school nurse as well. Are there any questions?
When you say we have coverage for our music, for our music classes, and I know it says music band, so we have other band directors, other band teachers too at our, like Ronnie McNair and Jesse Lynch.
What we're using is generally academic assistants, academic intervention assistants, whenever possible.
Okay, I'm just trying to see really.
At Ronald E. McNair, we do have Mr. Kenneth. He is actually there as well. He serves Atlanta and Ronald E. McNair. Yes,
Okay, so when I saw you had 3, I'm thinking about Kelsey, I'm wondering, do she have to do all of that,
no ma'am, she's not doing all of it.
No,
Ms.
just
Kelsey
asking
is, she's definitely a force. We're definitely glad to have her here.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Tonight, I'm actually presenting to you policy GCLE. This policy required the principal of each elementary school to provide at least 30 minutes of unencumbered time to all full-time teachers teaching in grades K-5 and to teachers of any elementary, middle, or high school that is responsible for teaching special education classes. The State Board of Education updated the statewide policy regarding unencumbered time to include school nurses on August 5th of 2025. Section 59563 requires that the local school board adopt any revisions of the statewide policy on unencumbered time into their local unencumbered time policy at a regularly scheduled meeting within 3 months of this being passed. This afternoon, and you will see that anything that's highlighted in red the first one just includes everywhere that you have the proviso for teachers. We've also added our school nurses as well. One thing to point out, it does actually say as well, in the event of a medical emergency, a school nurse's unencumbered time may be withheld or reduced. Are there any questions concerning the policy?
Questions noted. Board, at this time, I'll now entertain a motion regarding policy GCLE, unencumbered time.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the policy revision, policy GCLE.
I have a motion by Ms. Ruther Francis and a second by Ms. Paula Morris. Is there any discussion? None being noted, all in favor to approve the policy revision for policy GCLE, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
We also need to make you aware as well of a calendar update that we were required to do as well. So we actually need to add 3 weather days. And yes, we are e-learning school, but we need to add 3 weather days to our calendar. If you look, we are proposing that those weather days would be October 13th, which is currently an intercession day, February the 12th, and February 16th. Those are also intercession days.
Board, I will now entertain a motion regarding the modification of the calendar to add weather days.
I'll move to approve the modified calendar for 2025-2026.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Rebecca Yates, a second by Mr. Jason Kirby. Is there any discussion? None being noted, all in favor to approve the modification of the 2025-2026 school calendar to include the updated weather days, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Scott.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll have Ms. Mary Howard, our Chief Academic Officer, to give an instructional update.
Good evening, Board Chair and Board members. Tonight we want to bring you some instructional updates. First, we're going to start off with our 25-26 priorities. Just looking at our high quality instruction, student-centered database decision-making in our professional learning communities is what we're really looking at this year as we are making instructional decisions, as we are meeting with principals, talking to all stakeholders, really looking at high expectations, really putting that at the front. Our systems, as we're also going through our cognitive review this year. Our relationships, making sure that we are being proactive in relationships, building those relationships, making sure that everyone feels valued in our system, and listening to feedbacks. We want to make sure that we are being very in tune to what is happening, being reflective, making sure that we are handling issues in a timely fashion. So we're always looking at these central ideas, making sure that we are putting those high expectations first, looking at what systems we're putting in place, looking at our relationships, listening and responding to our feedback, and also keeping the main things at the top, that high quality instruction, student-centered instruction with our data, being in the center, and also our professional learning communities with our PLCs along with our professional development. Wanted to give you updates on our curriculum and programs. In 4K, we are continuing with Frog Street. K2 for ELA, we're using Wonders, continuing with that. That was the new adoption from last year. And 3 through 6 for ELA, we're using a little Wonders and Ready as well. We have our Ready curriculum in place this year for reading and math, so teachers will have opportunities to use both. In 7th and 8th grade, we do have our Read 180 curriculum in our middle schools, and they also have access to Study Sync. And 9th through 12th grade also has Study Sync for ELA. Other programs we have is our Ready for Reading and Math. Those are both digital programs. 7th and 8th grade, they have the Read 180 and Math 180, and then 7th through 12th grade also have Edgenuity. So just in case anyone is asking you what curriculums we're using in our schools, that just kind of gives you a little rundown of things that we have. Also, last school year we adopted new curriculum in math that's being implemented this year. Continuing with one of our goals, our board goals for reading, we're continuing with our 30 for 30 reading challenge. So parents at home that are listening in, please continue to read nightly with our students to make sure they're getting their 30 for 30 in. We're doing that in our schools as well. So reading is always fundamental for us, and we want to make sure that we're reaching our goals for reading daily, and that we want to make sure that students are getting as much reading instruction in to build those foundational skills by the end of first grade. We also wanted to bring you a highlight from a very special program that we have a partnership with the USC, our Power Forward program, that highlights some of our top scholars in our district. This is a snapshot of the program from last year. We actually had 23 scholars involved from 10th through 12th grade last year. This year we actually have 24 scholars. We want to give a very shout out from our liaison, Ms. Tanya Wilson, that works very diligently with this program. For Corey and Kayla Fulton, they attended a summer program, the Business Success Academy Week in June, and she was very proud of these two students that, for completing this program this summer. We met with the program committee earlier this month to get the program kicked off for this school year, and they are super excited for all the hard work that Lake City has put in and Florence School District 3 students, and they are excited for where the program is headed. So we wanted to just give the board a snapshot of where we are, where we came from last year, where we're going. So we're super excited to be able to continue with the Power Forward program, and we look forward to all the great opportunities that our students will continue with this program. Also, we want to thank our team, Shriners Temple of 266. Again, they donated to the Gentlemen's Club. Mr. Blake is here to receive that check that they donated $1,000 to the Gentlemen's Club once again. So we wanted to thank them for their kind donation to Florence School District 3. This will provide opportunities and resources for the young men in our Gentlemen's Club as that gets kicked off this school year. So again, we would like to thank Temple 266 for their generous donations as they continue to support Florence School District 3. Save the dates. On Monday, we will have district level PD. We've already had our first school level PD. Coming up on the 25th, which is on Monday, we'll have Discovery Education do PD with our elementary teachers at 2:45 and our secondary teachers at 4. And then, I know this is hard to believe, but we are entering into our 4th week of school. We will have parent-teacher conferences next week on August the 28th. We'll be sitting home interims, and also, I know, 4 weeks already. We will also be sitting home individual student reports from SC Ready during that time, and then on Friday will be early dismissal for students and staff. So any questions from instructional updates?
No questions. Thank you, Ms. Collins.
Thank you.
Good evening again. I wanted to start off with sharing with you that Scranton Elementary actually received 2 grants. They were awarded $3,500 from Whole Kids Garden Grant Program. The grant will help the school expand its existing garden program. They also were awarded a $1,000 grant from Newman's Own Foundation, and this will sustain their outdoor classroom. So I wanted to share that wonderful news with you. Also wanted to share our current enrollment numbers. The first column there was based on the 135th day of last school year. And the second column there are our numbers as of Monday. And to be very transparent, we have students that are constantly enrolling and some that may be withdrawing. We usually don't get very settled with our numbers until after Labor Day. So that's where we are now. You can see that we do have a decrease in enrollment, which we had anticipated going into this school year. I think about 159 is what we estimated the difference to be. Currently, it's about 126, so it's a little better than what we had based the budget on. But those are the numbers as of Monday, and next board meeting I'll share any updated numbers that we have. And just to give you a breakdown of our current enrollment, we are 62% African American, 29% white, 6% Hispanic, and 3% are made up of other. And then you can see our male and female is almost the same, 51% male and 49% female. And again, that was as of this Monday. So as we had the work session a few weeks ago,
Do we know how many students we've lost to the new charter school?
the last number was about 81, 82. And the new charter school is grades 3 through 5 this year, so about 20-something per grade level, give or take. So with our work session, we looked at our needs, our priorities, and we're going to continue that. We did bring back information that you guys requested at the work session. You do have a folder in front of you that has the documents that we'll be going over. These were also emailed out to you. And I also included the charts that we discussed at the work session. Those are in there as well, again, because I wasn't sure if you would have those. And we've updated any information that we have. So to start off, I'm going to ask Madeline and Hal from Snyder to come, and they're going to go over information.
Good evening, thank you all for having me back. Tonight I brought Hal Whitsitt, who is our lead project development manager, who has been supporting the phases of work since our partnership began in 2024. So I was going to let him give a pretty quick intro on who he is and the role he plays here.
Nice to meet you all. Happy to be here. Been with Schneider Electric now for 19 years, fresh out of college. Started in engineering and now been in project management for the last 11 years. So I've been putting together a lot of these projects for us and for districts around the Southeast. I think over 40 at this point. So happy to be here. Happy to be working with Lawrence County School District 3. Like I said, I'm the project development manager. So all the development of all the scopes of work that you'll see summarized here, have been kind of quarterbacked by me and the team. So we've got about 10 dedicated engineers that have been involved in this: electrical, mechanical, plumbing, automation, energy, and then a whole host of people behind the scenes, even further back from them, that manage this whole process. So there's been a lot of work that's gone into this. We've scrubbed your schools, we've scrubbed all your utility bills. So hopefully if there's any questions, I can answer those, but like I said, glad to be here and answer any questions you might have.
Yeah, so as you all recall, our partnership began back at the beginning of 2024, and the whole intent was for the district to have a trusted long-term strategic facilities partner, which is why the district selected Schneider Electric. So our initial plan was to go ahead and make needed improvements district-wide, but very quickly on in 2024, we realized we needed to pivot our strategy to focus on needs at the Early Childhood Center due to expiring funds and some critical needs there. At the beginning of this year, a design phase was entered into for us to pursue these needs across the district. So at the work session a few weeks ago, we went through kind of where the project was sitting at the time, and since then we've gotten final numbers back that we're going to walk through with you today. We do know that the entire project is it's too big of a commitment for the district, so we definitely are respectful of that, but we wanted to share with you kind of where things ended up, and then we have a couple different project options, just based on the feedback we've gotten from the district, that might be something that's more fitting within what you guys are wanting to pursue. You all have a copy of this, Casey said, is that correct? Okay. So just kind of looking at the first page here, the annual savings came back at $140,000 that are projected annually. This was a little bit higher than our initial estimates, which is wonderful. We financially guarantee those cost savings every single year. This amounts to $3.75 million in an impact throughout the course of our partnership, which is pretty tremendous. The project value ended up coming in a little bit higher than what we were expecting a few weeks ago, and Hal's going to kind of explain where that difference lies and why that came about.
Sure. It was all in the mechanical scope of work, so all the other scope buckets trended about where we had, but the numbers that we presented last time were what we call 30% numbers, so those were our first estimates internally from back in April. That was before engineering has been done, so throughout the last few months doing the detailed mechanical and electrical engineering, a few of the mechanical scopes of work grew due to tonnage, increased cooling capacity that was needed for 2 of the gyms that we looked at. Also some additional electrical work that was needed to support that additional tonnage on cooling for those gyms. So all in all, estimates and everything trended accurate at the end. It was just a change in design and growth of that mechanical solution that resulted in those changes.
Yeah, and just to kind of jog your memory, I was going to have Hal share just a brief overview of each of the solutions that are included. And as you'll see in the project options later on, these scopes of work are obviously still involved. It just depends on to what magnitude you want to invest in each option. So he'll kind of walk through the different buckets of scope.
Sure. So building automation, maybe not a term everybody's familiar with, but basically this allows the facilities team to control the climate and the comfort in all your schools from a central location. So it allows them to do troubleshooting remotely to serve the school district, the schools better in terms of maintaining comfort, making sure that temperatures and humidity levels are where they should be across all campuses. Also gives the teachers the ability to adjust temperature within a range so that they can control their classrooms. Another benefit of that would be with community use. I know a lot of these spaces get used over weekends and during the summer when facilities might not be available, so that allows them to go and set temperatures and maintain comfort when people might not be around. Lighting is LED lighting. We see some of that here in this room. You've already seen the benefit of that here and then in a few other parts of your campuses. So this is replacing the remainder of the lighting, most of which is fluorescent lighting with LED. Kind of a no-brainer. We do this on all projects. It's a slam dunk in terms of improving lighting levels. Again, consistency of lighting across all your campuses so that you don't have different color lighting in different areas. Another big piece of this is emergency egress lighting. So we have to run all of these lighting projects through OSF. And one of their big deals is egress, life safety. So this includes updating all of the emergency, think of exit signs, battery backup light fixtures that are able to turn on if there's a power outage, just to make sure that kids are able to get out of the school in case of an emergency or a power outage. Field lighting is athletic fields. This is replacing old wood poles with new steel poles, new LED light fixtures for those fields, guaranteed light levels that are in compliance with athletic standards, so making sure that the fields are lit evenly and bright enough for athletic competition. And then a big piece of this too is a 25-year warranty. So if anybody's heard of Musco, they're pretty much the top when it comes to field lights. They do a lot of stadiums and a lot of school districts around the country. And they monitor the system so that if one light fixture goes out and if those light levels on the field aren't where they need to be, they come out and support that, change the light, make it work. You don't have to worry about it for 25 years. Roofing is at Main Street Elementary Gym. That was a 31-year-old roof. So we looked at, with the facilities team, looked at the inventory of roofs that you have. And I think all the pitched shingle roofs were in good shape. The flat roofs is kind of where we focused. And there are a few more than the one that's in the project now, but that was the one that we ended up honing in on, was Main Street Elementary Gym. There's a good bit of water damage already that's occurred at that gym and leaks over the years. And at 31 years old, that roof is definitely due for replacement. We'll be replacing that with a cooler roof, a white TPO membrane, which will also help with energy savings. And then windows is scope of work for the high school and for Atlanta. Atlanta in particular, if anybody is familiar with that campus, the main building has some very old windows that are not in good shape, definitely need to be replaced. Window replacement has a lot of benefits. Energy is a small piece, but honestly the noise reduction of having new windows, double pane windows, it reduces infiltration of dust, things like that happen when people mow the yard.
And then electrical and mechanical, we're going to dive into here in a minute, but in general, I tried to sum up the different funding mechanisms that you have available. You have a safety grant, capital improvement funds to go towards the roofing scope that is not allowable through the SOBs. You have the SOB funding, you have the guaranteed savings. With the scope of work, we're anticipating $70,000 in Duke rebates, and you can see there how that breakdown kind of adds up, with lighting being the biggest component of the rebates. One final thing just to mention here, with all the scope items presented, these all have a useful life of 20 years, which is making it's being wise, I guess, with the SOB funding that you have, considering that loan is of that tenure. The next page shows just a scope matrix that you all have seen before that sums up exactly where these improvements would be made. I want to draw your attention to the top pie chart. This is a breakdown of how we get the $140,000 of annual savings. Almost 80% of those savings are coming from your LED lighting, but of course we're also making an impact with your automation and your mechanical and some of those other items. So there's a little breakout for you there. And then Hal wanted to also share a little bit more detail and show you a little more data and some pictures about the electrical and mechanical scope of work, just to kind of dive into that a little bit more for you all.
Sure. So electrical is not the most exciting thing, I know, for everybody. There's a lot of gray boxes and closets that we don't often get to see, but it's important, right? It's where the power comes from that keeps the school running. And a few of the buildings that you have are on 480 volt infrastructure, and what that means is you've got transformers in these buildings that make that power from the utility company into what the school uses. And a lot of that is really old, 1970, 1973, we're talking 50-plus-year-old electrical. And what that means is it's at risk of failure. And if anybody has ordered any, maybe Mitch has, electrical equipment, lead times can be a little unstable. They've gotten better, thankfully, in the last couple of years. But if you have an unplanned outage and the power is out for the school, and you don't have any way to have power and have school, that's a pretty big deal. So what we did with this is inventory all that electrical equipment, figure out where the needs were, what the oldest, most critical equipment is that should be replaced. And that's what's been put together and included in this project. So a few summary items there with the career tech, the high school, and then Ronald E. McNair having those electrical needs. And then the mechanical was quite the lift. We audited and took an inventory of every HVAC system across the district to get a good current state and what that looks like. And this pie chart and then the bar chart below summarize that. So over 600 HVAC systems that were inventoried. And what we did here with the pie chart, typical, the type of systems that you guys have typically is 15 to 20 years is what you would expect to hit useful life, similar to what you might have at your house. But then you start needing to think about replacement. You might start having a few failures here and there. But the 20-plus-year-old category is really what caught our eye. So you see here, 266 pieces of equipment. That's 44% of all the HVAC across the district is 20 plus years old right now. On one hand, that's alarming. On the other hand, it's a compliment to the facilities team that's kept everything running for that long. I would say you've certainly gotten your money's worth and then some out of that equipment. But it's a growing problem that, you know, is something that's important to put together a strategy to start to address. And then below, the age distribution is just the same data presented a little bit differently. Kind of shows you the 20 plus year old mountain that's out there, but then over on the far right, 2025, that reflects early childhood. So that's the new equipment that we've been installing for phase 1B that's underway right now.
So, like I said at the beginning, we know that the entire project is a little bit too much of a commitment for the district, and we understand that. So we've put together a couple different options that exclude some of the scope. We have some reasonings for that, but option one, you can see on the next page, is $10.9 million with $10.3 million being allowable with the SOB funds. This excludes some of your automation. It excludes your baseball and softball field lighting, and it excludes a little bit of the mechanical scope of work. At the bottom, you see a funding equation, and I put this here to share with you and to show you how you can turn these one-time funds into a recurring revenue stream for your district. So right now, with that $10.9 million investment, we're anticipating not the entire $70,000 of rebates, a little bit less, but you subtract that amount, you subtract your capital improvement fund contribution for your roof, you subtract your security grant, that would go towards the window improvements, and then you subtract the expected $3.5 million of cost savings through these solutions, and you're looking at a net investment of $6.68 million. Again, just to clarify, the total project cost is $10.9 million, but I wanted to show this to share with you how many moving parts there are and how this program would enable you to turn your one-time funds into a recurring revenue stream. The second option is $10.3 million with $9.6 million of that being funded by the SOBs. Again, this excludes some automation scope, some field lighting scope, and has a little bit different of a mechanical solution there for you. And again, you see the net investment there at the bottom. The rebates are similar, the total savings are similar to option one, but we wanted to give you a couple options that we felt would still address a lot of critical needs in your classrooms without being as heavy of a lift as the entire project. So if you all have any questions, we would love to answer them.
Administrators to give a facilities update.
Good evening. Before I get started, you may notice all the computer equipment here. We started a new platform for streaming to follow state law. We've run into a few bugs with the clicker, but everything seems to be going well so far. So I do want to say thank you to Noah DeComp and Brent Yarbrough from IT who got all this set up and working. In actually a short period of time. So, just a quick facilities update. Go to the next slide, please. Lake City Early Childhood, we're right at finishing with the painting. Kind of like before, we still have some touch up around some murals that needs to be done. I think there was one mural in particular that Mitch wanted some more work done on that. So, and of course, Schneider is continuing with phase 1B, the electrical and freon lines. We've got mechanical equipment coming in now. And actually, since school has started, we've had several PTAC air units that have gone down. Fortunately, we didn't have to buy anything to work in the interim. That equipment was already in. Schneider and our subcontractor Case, they were able to work things out where we could get those air conditioners replaced and those areas cooled. So that worked out great. Okay. And at the work session, y'all asked us to put together some numbers for a cosmetology lab, an art room lab in the Cape Center at Lake City High School. So Mr. Driggs and I met with Mr. Leon Burgess and Mr. Jason Cook, along with our architect, Al Fuller, and we looked at some space in the Cape building, and we've come up with 3 options for you to consider. So option 1 is to build a new modular building to house those 2 labs. We leave the existing weight room and wrestling room, which are spaces that we were looking at that could possibly be enough room for both of those programs. So that's option 1. You see the total cost of that is just over $1 million. These prices include all the renovation work, the equipment that's needed, but not included are the supplies, the clippers, the combs, the capes, and things of that nature. That is not included in any of these prices. Okay, so option 2 is to build a new 5,000 square foot metal building, fixed structure, to house the 2 labs and leave the weight room and wrestling room as they currently are. That's a total cost of $2,220,000. And then the third option is to build a metal building for a new weight room and wrestling room, and then renovate those 2 spaces inside the Cape building to house cosmetology and barbering. And you see that's quite a big project. Total of $4,110,000. And there would be some timing that would need to happen there, because we would have to build the structure first. We can't move the weight room and the wrestling room until that building is ready to be occupied. Any questions about those?
How many chairs were you looking at?
We were looking at 15 stations each. And these costs also do not include salaries for certified instructors.
And there is a certain certification required for each of those. You have to be licensed. But I did include in your folders, Mr. Burgess put together kind of a supply list for each. Those are estimates, so it kind of gives you an idea, and that's per station.
Any other questions?
So if you were to go with the original walk, that moving moving the weight room and what else?
The wrestling room. Yes, ma'am.
Did y'all have someplace to move that?
No, that's what I say. We would have to build the structure first before those 2. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Because there is no other place to relocate weightlifting. I don't believe. Coach Easton, Coach Axel, and Mr. Cook. Yeah, there aren't adequate spaces anywhere else on campus. Okay.
And there's no other place to put this besides that?
No, ma'am.
So
Not that would make it available to the students. I mean, there may be somewhere else in the district, but it wouldn't be easily available.
Well, I mean, don't we take students to the continuum and for classes and stuff? I don't really understand why it has to be here.
Well, that was the idea that I presented to.
Y'all want to address that?
So the interim Casey and the chair Jaquel as well, and I got him a number. And it was Jason's idea, with me and Jason talking, because we all want to have this school. Certain things we cannot afford. First of all, this is not even in the budget, right? So after me and Jason talked and we threw things around, and he said, well, why not, let's look at the continuum. So I committed my business to go out there and get a representative and present that, number to our chair and, interim superintendent. And I'm hoping that, praying, and crossing our fingers that maybe that will be a solution for, you know, because it is worthy, program. I know I went to Lexington with our prior superintendent, and, it's a great program, and kids are interested in it, but it do bear some requirements. You just can't, this is not a game. When they get into this, they must be committed to this program. There's no such thing as, you know, well, I'm gonna try it out for a while. It's gotta be a commitment for the students as well, because the cost of this, replacing those supplies, giving us a list of supplies, maybe that's a startup at Mr. Burgess gave us a list of supplies.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you must be replacing these supplies as well. I mean, they're working, they're training with these supplies and everything else, right? So, that's, one thing when I was there, that they said we have to look at as well. Also, they have to be replaced and everything, but they said the most important thing is when we get this in place, if we get it, the students must understand and know they must be committed to this right here. And, it'll be great if they do it, but,
I think the point that, thank you, Ms. Thomas. I think the point that is being made here is there has been this long-standing goal of having all career and technology programs at the Cape building. But from a financial standpoint, everybody sitting up here knows that that may not necessarily be feasible. So Dr. Mims's question is there somewhere else in the district where this can be done? That's gonna require busing students, that's gonna require supervision of them while they're on the bus. And so all of those things need to be taken into consideration, in addition to all the other things up here that we're looking at financially. That needs to be taken into consideration. Are you aware of any place else that this can go?
I'm not.
Because the thing we also have to think about is you wouldn't put a high school cosmetology lab at an elementary school just because you got it in the classroom. So I think that that's something that if you all are saying we don't have any place else for that.
Well, we even discussed the possibility and it was a quick discussion of moving weight room and wrestling into some mobiles back there, but that's not gonna work with those floors for weightlifting, for wrestling,
Do we have any portable classrooms anywhere else? Any vacant mobiles?
We've
I
got some, don't we have some vacant?
There may be some vacant
You would
mobiles.
have to do some serious renovations.
well,
I
serious.
don't know, they'd be big enough for,
$4 million. is
15
serious.
stations. I don't think the size would.
Well, we may have to scale back on the size, but $4 million is serious. If fixing a portable mobile classroom that is already here is more realistic than building a building, I think we probably need to look at that. I want us to take in consideration, starting is one thing. You can always go up. You can always start it and grow each year. The enrollment's gonna change, the student interest is gonna change. Paying $4 million and then 5 people say they wanna do it, then everybody up here gonna be in trouble. So I'd rather, Mr. Huckabee, I thank you, Mr. Jiggers, Ms. Fagan, for your time in this effort. But if we can look at, I'm sorry, Mr. Burgess, if we can look at, if we have some portable classrooms available, refitting those to make this more feasible, that may be appropriate. But building a building is not, that's not gonna come out for this, it's not gonna, we don't have it at this moment.
Would we look at if it can be done in a portable? And the reason I'm saying that is something came into my mind that they revisited and they talk about a portable, but right now I can't touch it. I don't know whether we can do it in a portable building.
Well,
Because that came up in my head just now when you were talking about it.
we would probably need to get Mr. Fuller back to look at these portables and see if it's feasible. Number one, I don't know about the weight load for the floors with all those stations, with the plumbing that would be necessary.
I don't know whether it's even allowed to be done, that's why I'm
Yeah,
asking, because
I-
something
I-
jumped
I
up in
couldn't
my
tell
head
you.
when that came up.
We
Could
can
you check
ask
and
the
see if
questions.
it can
Yeah.
even be allowed to be done in the form?
We can start with a conversation with Mr. Fuller and see if that's something we're pursuing.
Thank you, Ms.
The only
Ms.
thing,
Morris?
I just wanna say that, yeah, we don't let it die, that we do what we can to, you know, I don't wanna see die. I don't want, to, you know.
No, and we're willing to look at any options out there.
Right, that's the thing, you know, I know we have to look at other options and, you know, and then, let me ask you about the mobiles, if the mobiles are no good, why do we keep the mobiles? Why are we still housing them if they're not any good? Why we not trying to sell them and get rid of them?
But the cost of moving would be more than they would probably
No,
worth
no, I
right
said
now.
sell, why can't we try to sell them? And you said at the meeting, I have to get it out there, right? I'm the one at the move it, right?
Yes, ma'am, and I don't know, we haven't sold mobiles in a long time in the district. I know a long time ago they did that. Now to move them, I think it would cost more to move them than they do work. It would probably be beneficial if, I mean, we probably could fix them. It would cost some money. We looked at it about 7 years ago, we looked at it, and the cost of materials was about $65,000 in in-house labor to fix those mobiles at the high school. And that was not allowed to happen, so that's why those mobiles are like that now. The selling part would probably be pretty tough. They're in that exterior's in pretty rough shape.
So the other question I wanna ask, cause we have these mobiles, and I think some is on the Grand Road that belongs to us too, right? So, if we're gonna keep these mobiles, then why we have not been doing something to keep them? I mean, I know we don't have a lot of money, but just to keep them kinda updated, I mean, why are we gonna let something sit there and let it deteriorate? And then we can't sell it, we can't do anything with it.
Well, a lot of maintenance in the district has been deferred, I'll put it that way. For budgetary reasons and other reasons.
Okay, well, like I said, and I did walk through it, okay, now, tell me about the culinary. I walked through the area where you were supposed to move the culinary art school to. And I see where it's a lot of space there to do that, so what is the reason that we didn't move that? Is that some money?
Cost, yes, ma'am.
So we didn't have that?
Much more than what it was originally budgeted. If you look, you remember the spreadsheets we looked at, that cost is in there.
Yes, sir.
Because it's more than just moving the equipment there. There's a lot of renovation that have to go into that T&D room. But then the possibility of having to buy new equipment, because we aren't sure that if we move that vent hood, that we can put it over there, just based on the size, we may have to buy a new hood. So,
I guess the other thing I'm asking too, and Mr. You said may have, but have we looked into to see what it's gonna cost? You know.
Culinary arts.
yes,
Yeah,
ma'am, we got the estimates,
We got the
we
estimate.
had
Yeah, we
an
decided that
architect
one.
come and.
Yeah, we said that
Let's talk about that.
It's not to do that.
It was, the estimate that we got was $400,000.
Okay,
And
I'm
that's
finished
no
with that, okay.
Yeah, now we could get a closer price, but we'd have to get the architect in here to bring in the engineer to inspect it, and once he does that, then we'd have to pay them for their time.
Okay, update on the high school. Can y'all give me an update where we're at on the high school? Well, I'm just getting to the
What
main point.
specifically?
The roof. The leaking that's going on at the high school. The roof, where's leaking at the high school?
And that's on the stage in that area you're talking about?
And the biology class, didn't, okay?
Yeah, yes, ma'am, that was actually a roof drain, and our plumber fixed it. Last I talked with him, he had to go back out and make an adjustment on it, because the sprinkler and stuff was full-fledged leak. But he's supposed to have that finished up. The roofer came out this morning and looked at the area across the stage and where Coach App's office is and the trainer's office. And he's supposed to get back he's gonna look and see how far we have to go, and then he's gonna give us an estimate on what it would take to fix it. About 7 or 8, 9 years ago, that same company had to come into the backside of the wall on the gym side and take brick by brick out and put metal flashing into the center of that wall, to where water wouldn't go down behind that brick, go down inside the wall. So now what they're gonna have to do is go to the other side and do the same thing, to keep that, put that flashing in where the water run out, instead of running into that wall and run down into the roof. So we should be receiving a price on that, estimate on that next week or so. And I can get that back to y'all also.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else?
I was saying the option one shows that thing, or the quote y'all got was 4 new modulars. Is that a different modular than what we had to get and innovate? I mean, that's a total
Yes, sir.
different building
Yes,
style.
sir. Space-wise, I think it would be bigger.
Do a lot bigger.
Yeah, the
Do it
floor would be,
differently, okay.
better supported. Okay.
Thank you,
Well, I've got some playground equipment, we aren't quite finished yet. So we got pricing on playground equipment at, J.C. Lynch Elementary, Olana Magnet, and Steam Academy, that's for, kindergarten playground equipment. You can see some pictures there of what we're looking to replace. And then the next slide, you can see the pricing on that. What we're proposing is that all 3 schools get the same piece of equipment. The pricing for Scranton is a little different because the cost to remove the existing equipment is less than the other 2 schools. So all total, you're looking just over $200,000 for those 3. And that's also reusing existing mulch and sand, on those playgrounds.
It's just fixing the bad stuff.
Yes,
And the bonds will cover that stuff.
yes. Yeah, we did Skizbit, periodically, every year they would come in and, do a walkthrough in our schools, safety audit in our schools. This year, they chose to, audit playgrounds, which was a big coincidence. So we haven't gotten the report back yet. We did have those pieces of equipment, taped off so they couldn't be used. So that's not a problem. So, but we should be getting that report from them soon. Okay, any questions about the playground? Okay, so what we need are just some priorities for you, some directions so we can start moving forward.
Lord, if you look at your screen, you have on your screen a list of projects that are before you. Ms. Gibson, Ms. Fagan, can you tell me what the current balance of the bond is?
There's 13. It's a little over 13 million.
And so this whole list that we're supposed to vote on, how much is that gonna cost?
Well, on your sheet, in your folder, the chart had the price of each thing that we discussed last session. And it has it broken down into what would be covered by the SOB and what would have to use general funds or fund balance for each of the stadium options, auditorium, and then the other sheet has all of the other items. So on this slide, we just included everything that we discussed at the work session, so you guys could, determine priorities and options.
Can I ask about the auditorium? When do we use the auditorium? When do the district use it?
The district does not use it much. Right before Christmas, maybe in the spring, we'll have a dance recital or a band concert. We don't use it for Pork Chop Theater anymore. I believe those ladies retired, so we aren't bringing in kids 4 times a year for that.
The theater.
Community.
Community theater.
Do we do that as an in-kind, or do they, are they renting the?
They rent based on a contract, a negotiated contract. That is, I believe, if I remember right, Ms. Morris, it is renewed every 5 years.
The reason why I'm asking the question is because, and if I'm wrong, y'all help me out, that it seems like the theater use it more than we do.
Yes, ma'am.
So why can't we ask them to help, like doing grants or something that they help us to renovate the?
Well, I think the problem, they have looked at grants in the past, and I think the problem with that is arts grants that they can apply for, they can't get because they don't own the building. But we can apply for the grants because we aren't
Well, I understand.
a arts organization.
Okay.
Now, there's no reason that, you know, they or we couldn't ask some other, Bruce Lee Foundation, somebody like that, that may be willing to help offset renovation costs there.
Because I see it's number 2 is the top priority. But we don't use that facility.
Correct, correct. And we put that number 2 because that, I think that there's kind of an understanding that something's gonna be done in there, whether it's the option A or the less expensive option B. At a bare minimum, we need to do D to shore up that floor underneath.
Yeah, the big one,
Because right around where that stage extension, where the orchestra pit is, that's starting to sag.
I just want to ask a question.
I don't mind you asking a question.
No, this is time. Anybody else? That's the man. Ask him. I should call for votes.
I feel like we've got to know a total price. I don't see how we can just go one at a time and do this. That doesn't make sense to me.
It's gonna be long, but I just said, just calculated numbers.
Well, it's kind of hard to give a total price right now, because it depends on the options, which options you want to choose.
I get that, but I mean, okay, I like all option A's and all this, so I vote for every one of those. And then we get to the end and we've spent, $30 million, so I don't see how that's gonna work out.
Yeah.
I don't see how we can vote on this like this.
Well, I'm not, and you don't have to, you can choose not to do these, some of these.
Well, I realize that, but I mean, is this the priority? I wanna know what is the most important thing for us to do. That's what I want.
Most important, from whose perspective?
Safety.
You
Because I
Safety,
feel like
fire
safety-
alarms.
Safety has got to be.
Fire
number
alarms,
one.
fire alarms is the most important as far as safety goes.
Okay, so that's number 1. Now I'm gonna tell you number 2 is playground. We're talking about safety.
And I would also say the field house, we're talking about safety. Because if you go in there and, like I was saying, you walk in there, it's safety.
Safety.
So that, yeah.
Well, can I back up to the firearms just a minute, just to mention to you, next week, we'll submit our, application for another state school safety grant. And we're asking for money for fire alarms, so whatever we're awarded, will come off that total special obligation.
So let me ask you this question. We've got 100 students less. We've lost students every year for the last so many. Do we need all these school buildings that we have? Should we prioritize, maybe we don't do something to one building that we're doing to the others? I don't know. I'm asking that question.
Well, I mean, and that's gonna depend, I mean, I'm not gonna touch closing down school, I'll let y'all.
I'm not in favor of closing down a school either, but I think we can be realistic.
Yes, we do.
We've got old buildings.
Yes, we do.
I do not think we can afford to keep up old buildings if we don't have students in those classrooms. That's why I find it hard to believe there's not space somewhere for cosmetology and barbers. Because I feel like we've got to have empty classrooms somewhere where, I mean, we're losing all these students. No? I mean, that makes sense to me, but y'all say no?
I mean, if you want us to go look at an elementary school where enrollment's down, we can do that.
Do we need to look at moving students somewhere? That's what I wanna know.
That's
I mean,
beyond my area.
I feel like that's got to be part of this discussion. I don't think we can afford to spend money on old buildings that maybe in 2 or 3 years, we're not even gonna be using. That doesn't make any sense to me. So I feel like we've got to see where the enrollment is. I mean, if J.C. Lynch and Scranton have got the students, maybe we need to shut down a school in Lake City. I don't know. I don't have the answers to that. Y'all are the ones that look at the enrollment.
Atlanta has the least enrollment, number-wise.
Well, but Atlanta is also farther away than any other school.
I don't know if you close one of the elementary schools in Lake City, that any of the other schools could absorb that enrollment. Because I think Scranton and J.C. Lynch, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, you're pretty much busting.
I mean, I don't have the answer for that tonight, because we haven't really looked at it, but I really do feel like before we just commit to spending money on these old buildings, we really ought to be thinking about that. Which ones we might not be using in 3 to 5 years. You talking about we've only 3 grades at the new charter school?
They got 4 grades, and they're adding another grade next year.
So they're gonna add to that, more kids can move too.
Where are the students? Early childhood?
Both, depending on the grade level, but yes, Main Street, lost some students because of 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, and then Lake Zero Childhood lost some because they also have 2nd grade.
We've just spent a fortune on early childhood. Is every classroom in that facility being used?
Mr. Barr, is every classroom being used?
There's like 1 or 2 that are open right now.
And how about at Main Street? How many are not being used there?
That one?
We're not using the, 3 or 4 of the rooms in the older side of the building. We're using all the rooms in the main building.
Well, I think this is a wait and see, because I've seen it happen so many times. They move students. We don't know, they may come back.
They'll come back.
That
That's
happens.
absolutely true.
Yeah, that happens.
But the way the country is going and the way this area is going, people aren't having children that they have. We've got to look at that. I mean, I don't think this is just a charter school problem. I think it's a population issue for this area, and I think we need to be realistic about that too. I mean,
Dr. Mills, the birth rate is down across the country, but
Exactly.
especially, people aren't having as many children as they used
Exactly.
to.
And then Lake City lack attraction, so younger people to move here, no housing, no entertainment, no restaurant.
Okay, so you have an option. You can either vote to table these action items, or we can take action on certain items. You have the things that have been identified as priority. But that decision rests among you all.
Do we not have a deadline of when we've got to?
We gotta start, that's the time frame. We gotta spend this bond.
Yeah, the bond has to be spent within 3 years. We're already in the middle of year 1. And, the football stadium, if we're going to do work there, That is very time critical, and you can add to this
Another
in
time,
order
lead time.
Yeah, that's the stuff.
for them to be able to play football next year.
That's true.
So let's go with that. So I'll receive your votes for the stadium, fire alarms, playground. Is there anything else on here? District staff, that is a priority, that is an absolute must.
Mr. Chair, would you say that again, stadium fire alarm and what else?
Playground.
And Mr. Brown, we would need to know on the stadium, option A or option B.
Yeah, I'm gonna call folks and vote.
Okay.
So can you go over that again?
Stadium,
But I mean, discuss the advantages of A over B.
oh,
Can I interrupt
And you
you
gotta
before
see
you
what
get
comes out
into
of
the
the general
stadium?
fund and then.
yes, sir.
You asked about life, safety concerns, PA system is a concern throughout the district. Those systems are very old, and just like a fire alarm, it's becoming harder and harder to find replacement parts when something fails.
But that's why we need to decide about buildings. Because I hate to spend a lot of money on the PA system on a school building we might not be using.
I agree.
I mean, that doesn't make any sense. Fire alarm is different, because I feel like that could be a disaster, to live without a PA system.
But you did say hold off, right, on the fire alarm, because we made it a grant or something? For the fire alarm, didn't you all say hold off?
We're working on a grant right now.
Well, we're working on a grant, that will not, fund all of the fire alarms across the district, you've got that amount on there.
2.6 million.
We apply for a safety grant, and then they let us know how much money we will receive, so we don't know yet.
Let's
what
wait
grant
on
is.
that.
We're hoping to get enough to fund the high school's fire alarm. I don't expect we'll get anything more than that if we get that much.
One school out of all
What I was told, is that there are more schools applying for the grant now, so each slice of pie is getting smaller.
When you take in consideration what Dr. Mims is saying, you also have to take in consideration that certain parts of this Snyder project involve other buildings.
those. That's a
So,
lot of bills.
yes, right. All right,
So what do you have, Mr. Chair, now?
you're gonna receive,
Stadium, playground,
yes, stadium,
Yeah.
stadium, playground,
fire alarm,
Fire alarm and playground.
fire alarm is still in, right?
yes,
That's the three you talked about?
yes,
Open up the PA
yeah,
system.
let's hold on. All right, and the way this is gonna go is I'm gonna receive votes for option A and then option B.
Want to explain each one?
Vote for your respective option. Do you all have these options available, a part of the slides, like on the website and all that? Yeah. I got it, it's okay, I was asking for the purpose of, it's okay, I was asking for the purpose of having to read out what it entails.
How about with the Polish logic?
Yeah, that needs to come up, Steve.
No.
That's what I asked.
Do you?
Option D.
Well, you want us to go back through the A and B options on the
Yes,
page?
please.
Where the funding comes from both too.
You got that. Stadium renovations, option A, and that was the one that was considered for the metal in-place field house. And the total general fund for that one is 2.918375. Special obligation bond is 1.310, and, we had some allocations, 523, I think, for the renovation was 211, or $211,008.91. The total cost on that particular job was $4,228,375 with the school.
That field house is not eligible for special obligation bonds because it's a fixed structure.
Repossessed. Basically, the two options are pretty much the same. Option B is a modular field house. It'd be just like a big mobile, basically. And then we'd have to build a standalone laundry room in the back on a concrete pad to meet code, because you can't have commercial washer dryers in the mobile. All the other, allowances and stuff, the demo, the old building, site work, landscaping, fencing, and all that's pretty much the same for both of them. With option B, with the modular field house, the general funding total would have to be $982,935. The special obligation bond project money would be $1,860,000. And we still have that 523 allocated in there for $211,000 and some change. The total cost on option B would be $2,842,935 with a scoreboard. So it's considerably cheaper with the mobile. The only downside to option B with a modular is our students in there with cleats. I don't know if they last 5 to 6 years. Long term development, that's probably be bad. But that's.
All right, so thank you for that explanation, Mr. Jiggers. As we move through this, and you speak into the mic, because we're gonna vote on these things one by one. All right, board, at this time, I'll entertain a motion regarding the list of priorities. The first one that we have taken up is for the football stadium, option A. Mr. Locklear. Option A. Mr. Kirby.
No.
Mr. McKnight.
No.
Ms. Yates.
Yes.
Ms. Frierson.
Yes.
Ms. Thomas. Ms. Morris.
I can't ask a question.
Yes, ma'am.
The modular, I don't understand, can you explain that a little bit more for me?
Yes, ma'am. The modular field house will basically be a big mobile, kind of like it's in the back of J. Paul, with a standalone field laundry room behind it.
That's option B?
Yes, ma'am. Option A is the option with the metal building that'll be on the concrete pad, kind of like what you see in the other district nearby. We've got.
I'll go with option A.
So that's you. Dr. Mims?
A.
Say again.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. My option is going to be yay. 5.
Okay, got it.
It'll be 5 to 4. So we will be option A for the stadium. There's no need to take a vote for option B because we've already selected option A. Regarding to the fire alarms. Mr. Locklear.
Yay.
Mr. Kirby.
Yay.
Mr. McKnight. Yay. Ms. Yates.
Yay.
Ms. Frierson. Ms. Thomas.
Yay.
Ms. Morris.
Yeah.
Dr. Mims.
Yay.
And myself is yay. Fire alarms are a priority. Now to playgrounds. Mr. Locklear.
Yay.
Mr. Kirby.
Yay.
Mr. McKnight. Yay. Ms. Yates.
Yay.
Ms. Frierson.
Yay.
Ms. Thomas.
Yay.
Ms. Morris.
Yay.
Dr. Mims.
Yay.
My vote is yea as well. Those are the 3 things that we will take up. These other items, board, may I have a motion to table these items?
I move that we table the rest of the items.
Second.
I have a motion by Dr. Julia Mims and a second by Ms. Maddie Thomas. Is there any discussion? None being noted, all in favor to table all other projects in progress or projects for priority, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you so much. this time I will entertain a motion to exit the public session and to, exit the public session and to enter into executive session.
Mr. Chair, I move that we exit public session and enter into executive session to discuss personnel matters, concerns, possible hiring, termination, resignation, placed on leave, or legal matters.
I have a motion by Ms. Luther Frierson and a second by Ms. Becky Yates. Is there any discussion? None being noted, all in favor to exit from open session and to enter into executive session to discuss personnel matters, concerns, possible hiring, termination, resignation, placed on leave, or legal matters, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Now entertain a motion to exit from executive session and to reconvene into open session.
I move that we exit from executive session and reconvene into open session.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Rebecca Yates and a second by Ms. Maddie Thomas. Is there any discussion? None being noted, all in favor to exit from executive session and to reconvene into open session, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. There are no matters that need to carry over from executive session that require action. At this time, board, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion by Dr. Julia Mills and a second by Ms. Ruther Fraxton. Is there any discussion? None being noted, all in favor to adjourn, say aye. Any opposed? Motion